My dad cried at my sister's wedding last year, full tears. Shaking hands, walked her down the aisle like he'd been there her whole life. I was seated in the third row. No one asked me to be in the wedding party. Hey, my name is Jordan. I'm 22. And before anyone tells me I'm jealous, or bitter, or that siblings are different, let me tell you something first. This isn't a story about a wedding. It's about what happens when you spend your entire childhood being the responsible one, and then watching everyone celebrate the one who never had to be. My parents split when I was 8. My brother Danny was 4. I'm not sure they even fought that much near the end. They just got quiet. And then one morning, Dad's car wasn't in the driveway. Mom didn't explain it. She just started working more. I noticed she cried in the bathroom. I noticed we stopped having dinner together. I noticed a lot of things, because I was 8, and 8-year-olds notice everything. They just don't have words for it yet. Danny doesn't remember any of that. He was too young. I used to be grateful for that. Later I realized what it actually meant. He got a clean slate. I got the weight. Mom leaned on me early. Not in a dramatic way, in a quiet, everyday kind of way that felt normal until it didn't. Jordan, can you watch Danny while I take this call, Jordan? Remind me to pay the electric bill. Jordan, I need you to be my big helper right now. I was 9. I became her calendar, her babysitter, her emotional support, and I told myself that was just what being the older sibling meant, that I was built for it, that it was something to be proud of. I was 9. I didn't know better yet. The thing about being the dependable one is people stop asking if you're okay. They just assume. Because you always seem fine. Because you never fall apart. Because you figured out early that falling apart made things harder, not easier, so you just keep going. And somewhere along the way, being okay becomes the only version of you anyone can see. Danny grew up loud. Not mean, not bad, just loud. He wanted things and said so. He cried and people came running. He made mistakes and people forgave them fast because he was young, he was learning, he needed support. He got support, I got expectations. There's a difference. When I was 14, I failed a math test. First one I'd ever failed. Mom looked at it and said, "This isn't like you." That was it. That was the whole conversation. When Danny failed 2 classes at 16, Mom sat with him for 3 weeks, hired a tutor, bought him a new study desk. Told everyone he was going through a hard time and needed grace. He got a desk. I got "This isn't like you." I'm not sure which one hurt more, actually, I am sure. Dad came back around when Danny was 12. Not fully back, not in the house, but phone calls. Visits. Birthdays remembered. He showed up to Danny's first baseball game with a new jersey and a glove still in the packaging. I stood beside Danny on the field watching Dad hug him for what felt like a very long time. Dad looked over my shoulder and said, "Good to see you, Jordan. Good to see you," like I was a coworker, like I was someone's neighbor. Like I was anyone other than his firstborn who had spent 4 years answering the door when bill collectors knocked because Mom was too tired to deal with it. "Good to see you," I said. "You too," and walked back to the dugout. That was also the whole conversation. I don't want to make this sound like I never had good moments. I did. Mom came to my school plays, packed my lunches, said "I love you" at bedtime, and I know she worked hard. I know she was tired. I know she wasn't trying to hurt me. That's the part nobody tells you about this. The hurt doesn't always come from cruelty. Sometimes it comes from someone loving you the best they know how, and their best not being quite enough for what you needed. That kind of hurt is quieter, but it follows you longer. I started college on a scholarship, full ride, 2 states away. When I got the acceptance letter, Mom cried happy tears and said, "I always knew you'd figure it out." Figure it out like it was luck, like I hadn't studied 6 days a week for 2 years. Like I hadn't written 14 drafts of that essay. Figure it out. I smiled, said thank you, packed my own boxes. Danny didn't go to college right away. He moved in with Dad instead, which meant suddenly Dad was around, calling regularly, paying for things, being present. I found out from Instagram, mostly. Pictures of them at baseball games, restaurants, road trips. Dad captioned one photo. "So proud of this kid. My whole heart." My whole heart. I remember staring at that caption in my dorm room at 11 at night. I wasn't angry. I want to be clear about that. I was just very, very tired of having a feeling that didn't have a clean name. The wedding happened last spring. Danny was 18. He and his girlfriend had been together for 2 years. Dad paid for most of it. I found that out at the rehearsal dinner. I gave a toast, spent a week writing it, made everyone laugh, made Danny tear up. Afterward, a relative I barely knew grabbed my arm and said, "You're so mature. You always handle everything so well." I smiled, said thank you. Mature, handles everything well. That's the thing they always say about the one nobody worried about enough. It sounds like a compliment. It isn't. During the reception, Dad found me at the bar. He put his hand on my shoulder and said, "I'm glad you're here." I looked at him for a moment, and something shifted, not in a dramatic way, not like in movies, just quietly. The way things shift when you've held something for a really long time and finally decide to just say it. I said, "Can I ask you something?" He said, "Of course." I said, "Where were you when I was 14? He didn't answer right away. I kept going, not angry, not loud, just honest. "Because Danny gets you now, and I'm glad he does. I genuinely mean that, but I didn't get you then, and I never said anything because I didn't think I was supposed to." He looked like I'd said it wrong, like I'd done something unfair. "Jordan, I'm not trying to ruin this," I said quickly. "It's a beautiful day. I love Danny. I'm happy to be here. I just needed you to know that it wasn't nothing. What it cost me to grow up without you, it wasn't nothing." Silence, the kind that sits heavy even when the music is playing 20 feet away. He said, "I didn't think you needed me as much." I looked at him. Nobody needs things less just because they stop asking. He called 2 weeks later. We talked for an hour. It wasn't a fix. It wasn't erased time. It wasn't suddenly fine. But it was honest. And honest, I've learned, is where repair actually starts. Not apologies, not grand gestures, just two people finally saying the real thing out loud. I still talk to Mom every Sunday. She asked me recently if I was happy, like really happy, not just okay managing things happy. I thought about it, and I said, "I'm working on it." She got quiet. Then she said, "I think I asked too much of you too early." I didn't say anything for a moment. Then I said, "I think you did too, but I don't think you knew." She started crying softly. I let her. Here's what I know now at 22 that I didn't know at 9. Being capable doesn't mean you don't need care. Being quiet doesn't mean you're okay. And the people who never fall apart aren't the ones who don't hurt. They're just the ones who learn to hurt in private. If you're the one in your family who always figured it out, who was called mature, independent, the reliable one, the strong one, I just want you to know something. You were also allowed to need things. You were also allowed to struggle. You were also allowed to say, "I'm not fine right now." Even if no one ever made room for that. I'm still learning to take up space, still learning to ask for things without feeling like a burden, still unlearning the part of me that thinks love has to be earned through usefulness. It's slow, but I think that's okay, because healing doesn't happen all at once. It happens in the small moments. A phone call that's finally honest. A question someone thought to ask you for the first time. A Sunday when your mom says your name like she's actually wondering how you are. And you realize that's all you ever wanted, just to be someone worth wondering about.